Hey, good morning, everybody. Thought I'd come on here and, well, I got the time and, well, I'm up this morning and talk about do some WWE Morning Talk. In other words, give my opinions on a few topics here and there. One of the topics that I want to talk about, and I want to make sure I get this right because I just posted it, of course. Make sure I get this right. I want to talk about a variety of topics. I want to talk about the low attendance, Brock going over Braun at No Mercy, Asuka debuting, the current state of WWE, Roman Reigns going over John Cena, the Bullet Club invasion at Raw, state of the WWE Championship, among other things. And I guess I should try to go in order here. Let's talk about the low attendance. A lot of people can blame many factors to this. A lot of people can blame the timing of some of the WWE live events. Like sometimes, like a majority, well, not a majority of them, but some of them will take place during the middle of the week, and with kids going to school, parents going to work, you know, you know they may not feel up to going to see a WWE event, even if it's close to the proximity. They may not feel like going. So I think that kind of contributes to it. Because honestly, if you're going to hold these WWE events, that's fine, but hold them at a time where you know you're going to have a decent enough crowd to draw in. I don't think, I think another thing I've noticed as well, and maybe it's just me, but I've noticed lately that there's been a lack of promoting. I mean, I'm not saying they don't promote a WWE show coming, they do, but from what I've seen and noticed a lack of promoting with recent events. You know, I live here in the Central Valley of California, and I've noticed a lot. I've noticed that when they come to Sacramento and Stockton, they do advertise, but it always varies from. How do I put this? It always varies from here and there. In other words, it's kind of like in between. It's like they heavily try to promote it, and then they won't promote it. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the biggest difference from last year to this year. I noticed last year when we had No Mercy here in here in the Central Valley region in the capital of California, Sacramento. When we had it, they promoted locally. They promoted the heck out of that event. They gave away tickets. They gave away stuff like that. They did what they could. But lately, I haven't really noticed that. I mean, true, I'll be on the bus going to work, and I will notice sometimes that they will come on that the radio station the bus drivers listen to will come on and say, "Oh, we're giving away tickets to this WWE live event in Fresno. We're giving tickets to this live event in Sacramento or Stockton." And they'll promote it that, and that's a good way to promote the event, get people's butts in the seats. But I think lately, with the lack of promoting, if you will, with the lack of promoting, uh, varying from being heavenly promoted and not being promoted, I think that's what's hurting it. I mean, we all know people blame Impact Wrestling, GFW Wrestling, whatever you want to call it, for not promoting their stuff in advance, but they may be improving in that area, maybe, not saying they are, but there's no excuse for WWE not to promote their show. Live events are not. Another thing as well is I I, I think it's something a lot another thing that contributes to the low attendance as well is not the lack of fatigue to want to go and see a live event after a hard day at work or an exhausting day at work or an exhausting day at school, and maybe your kid has after school activities like football practice or baseball practice or basketball practice or cross country practice or cheerleading, you name it. It's not just a lack of fatigue from that not wanting to go and attend this event, attended a live WWE event. like I said, even though it might be close to the proximity, like within 20 minutes of where they live or 40 minutes or whatever. Another thing, and a lot of people brought this up from Deluxe Man to the Schleck Daddy at OTR Central, many others. I think one of the main things is there's a lack of interest. It's like you're not really doing anything to grab people's attention. You know, you're not doing anything that's going to draw people to the arena to see what happens next. Instead, it always seems to be the same thing. You're not trying to you're not doing what you have to promote the fact that or give people a reason to want to go in 10. You know, I'll give you an example on the SmackDown side of things. You have Jinder Mahal as champion, and a lot of people will point at Jinder Mahal as being champion as contributing to the lack of interest. It's like, what has this guy done to be champion? And when they look at someone like Jinder Mahal and they contribute maybe him being the reason there's a lack of interest in the product, I don't think you can blame anybody because here's a guy that right before you brought him over to SmackDown and put him into the main event picture was jobbing out to just about everybody. Yeah, I think even his first match on SmackDown he jobbed out, and all of a sudden now he's the WWE champion. It's like whose decision was that? It didn't make any sense. It's like all of a sudden he goes from Jabba one day to the next day. Hey, we're going to put you in the main event. And all because why? Because they want to promote. They want to they want to promote the presence in India. Okay, Jinder may be of Indian descent, but he's not from India. He's from Canada. And that's another thing that I think is contributing to the lack of interest with him as champion is people know, yeah, he may be of India Punjabi descent, but he's not directly from India or Punjabi. He's a Canadian. You see, and again, and you see that I think that's one of the things that contribute to the lack of interest is you got a very boring in their eyes WWE champion that is constantly doing the same thing over and over again to remain champion, and it's not garnering anybody's eyeballs on the product. Another thing I think a lot of people point out when with Jinder being probably one of the contributing factors to the lack of interest in the product is he ain't no JBL. See, JBL when he was champion, it was doing an error to where you could put him in any kind of match, and he would find a way either by himself or with assistance. But here's the thing about JBL, and I'm sorry if my thing's hitting the mic there. But here's the thing about JBL. He had a presence to him to where as much as you wanted to see someone like Booker T or the Big Show or the late great Eddie Guerrero or Undertaker take that belt off him, JBL had an aura about him to where as much as you wanted to see someone whoop his butt and take their championship, you almost enjoyed and got a kick at you almost enjoyed and got a kick out of how many times he would find a way to escape with the title and remain champion. How he'd always find different unique ways to do it. And when you compare the two, you might say, well, they're trying that with Jinder. The biggest difference is Jinder is lacking that one factor, that one it factor, or that one ingredient that's going to get him over the top. And what that is he doesn't have the charisma a JBL had along with his cabinet. Because he's only relying on two guys. JBL had more than two guys at his side. He had not just the Bashams. He had Orlando Jordan. He had Jillian Hall. He had Amy Weber at a time. He had a variety of people at his side to help him keep the championship. All you have with Jinder is just the Bollywood boys who, when this is all said and done, are probably going to end up being for a while a jobbing tag team to the tag team division on SmackDown. And all because WWE doesn't want to wake up and realize that they've tried with Jinder as champion and it's failing. And what I mean by failing, and the Lex Man and Slick Daddy know this, it's the fact that Jinder is just not catching on as champion. No one is taking him seriously. He just doesn't have that charisma factor, that it factor, that one thing about him that JBL had, that despite, like I said, as many times as you wanted to see JBL get his butt kicked and somebody take the championship off him, you became a fan of how many times he would find a way to slither away or sneak off with the championship and remain champion. What you're getting with Jinder is just rinse and repeat of his matches, from Randy Orton to Shinsuke Nakamura. Bollywood boys or Singh brothers interfere or distract the opponent. He comes up from behind, Cobra Clutch Slam, that's it. It's just rinse and repeat, and it's getting boring. I don't know if Road Dogg or Vince McMahon or whoever's in charge of Jinder being champion is thinking, oh, well, with Jinder as champion, that's going to sell money. People are going to pay to want to see him get kicked. Get his teeth kicked down his throat. Yeah, because that's money. It makes money. No, it doesn't. What it does is it creates what it does and done is create a lack of interest in your product, especially for a brand that when you started this brand split originally was one of the hottest brands, sorry for the lag there, one of the hottest brands your company had next to NXT. And yet you end up making it less interesting than it's ever been. The best thing for them to do now, and I know I'm repeating just about everything that Jeff Siegel, the Shrek Daddy, Alex, the Lex Man, Chase Oliver, the people at Pro Wrestling Report, Pro Wrestling Insider, Ringside News, everybody has said the best thing for them to do now is get that belt off Jinder, put it on Shinsuke, and go from there and build to something fans want to see. And you know what they want to see. You know what they want you to build towards. And the best option is to go in that direction and build to a Royal Rumble, to either a Royal Rumble or more specifically a WrestleMania match, maybe for the championship, between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, because of the fact that you know there's anything that's going to garner interest in your product, especially for the SmackDown brand. It's a matchup like that because fans would pay money to see that. They would pay money to see the teases between the two. They would pay for the fact that you would put that as you get towards that goal, that you're tagging them up with each other against opponents after opponents. You're building that interest that you're sorely lacking, and it needs to happen. This is the thing. You need to make this. It needs to happen. You need to make this happen. And I don't think a better start time could be till after Hell in the Cell, where you start teasing not just that Money in the Bank like you did, but tease more so as you get closer to WrestleMania season. Tease the fact that AJ could still be the United States champion. Tease the fact that now he wants that championship. He wants to make history with Shinsuke. Champion versus champion. Title for title. In a match fans want to see. They want to see Shinsuke against AJ. They want to see Shinsuke against Kevin. They want to see Shinsuke against Sami Zayn again. They want matches that's going to create buzz and interest, not matches against somebody that lacks the charisma of a Jinder Mahal, despite probably being a good in-ring competitor and keeping himself in healthy shape without the use of steroids or whatever. They don't want Shinsuke, someone like a Shinsuke or an AJ or an Owens or whatever, to go up against someone like a Jinder that lacks that personality, lacks that charisma. I understand WWE's trying to play off the whole evil foreigner gimmick, but that's passe. It's really passe, and it's not working. It's not working, and it's not doing him any favors. So again, just like everybody has said, from OTR Central to the Lexman's World, PW Insider, Pro Wrestling Report, the time is now to get that championship off Jinder and onto Shinsuke Nakamura. The time is now, because if you don't pull the trigger at Hell in a Cell, then when are you going to do it? Survivor Series? I don't know. It's almost like Vince McMahon is having. I hate to say this about Vince McMahon, but it's almost like I think he's having flashbacks. You know how, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say this. God knows I'm not. But you know how people always, but you know how there's always reports out there of people suddenly having flashbacks or flashbacks to the past, and all of a sudden they think they're back in a certain era, right? I'm wondering if Vince McMahon's having that. I'm wondering if Vince McMahon at times has these sudden moments to where he flashes back and thinks he has these momentary lapses in his mind and flashes back to the 80s, and now all of a sudden he thinks he's in the 80s, and he thinks something like Jinder is the way to go as far as evil foreign WWE champions are. I don't know. I don't know. But to me, again, like I said, they need to get the belt off Jinder, and they need to do it as soon as Hell in a Cell. Sorry about that. But like I said, they need to do it as soon as Hell in a Cell. They need to. Because if they don't, what's Vince McMahon hoping for? Huh? Is he hoping that enough hatred and disdain and lack of interest in Jinder is going to be what fans want? No. The more you push Jinder as champion, the lack of interest is going to grow. And again, I have nothing against Jinder Mahal as an in-ring competitor. He's probably one of the best they've got, but as champion, he's just lacking in charisma. He needs that it factor, if you will. Sorry for the lag there. He needs that it factor to really get him over. And it's not happening. I mean, all you're doing is rinsing and repeating with the guy. That's all you're doing. All right. The other thing I want to talk about. The other thing I want to talk about. Braun Strowman losing to Brock Lesnar. I know a lot of people are disappointed by this. A lot of people are upset by this. And honestly, I don't blame you. You know, you pretty much feel that you pretty much feel that um, the WWE should have struck when the skillet was hot, when the hand was hot. You know, they should have struck when the hand was hot, and they didn't. And I'm not disagreeing with you guys, because I think they should have. I think they should have struck when the time was hot, when the hand was hot, when the skillet was hot. But they didn't. And here's the reason why. One of the reports that has come out is creative backstage is not happy with Paul Heyman being in the ear of Vince McMahon. Paul Heyman being able to put his own creative input and have that finalized or something like that. And if that's the case, you can't really blame creative for Brock going over. Mostly you got to blame Paul Heyman for the fact that he's telling Vince McMahon, yeah, you got to keep Brock champion until Mania. You got to build that match. You got to build it. You can't stop the momentum because he's your number one attraction. Really. If Brock was the number one attraction, like you say he is, and I don't doubt that at times, depending on where they go, he could be, then what's with the low attendance? Again, just like with gender, okay, Brock has more of a presence, more of a charisma, if you will, in a sense, than gender does. Let's be honest. But the lack of interest and the low attendance when it comes to Brock as champion is the fact that he's not always there. It's like he'll be there one week, and then next week he's like this, sitting at his couch, or sitting at home, going like, "Yeah, you guys just do what you're doing. Talk about me all you want. Da, 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 da." I'm just sitting at home, and that's what's creating a lack of interest. Is you don't have a constant universal champion for your Raw brand. True, your Raw brand, in a sense, may be getting better story wise, and maybe that's because behind the scenes, Ryan Ward may have gone from SmackDown to there. I don't know. But the thing is, what's happening is with Brock not there most of the time, you're losing a lack of interest. True, you could put Miz into the main event spot uh, as your top champion right now because Brock's not there. But, despite Miz having an abundance of charisma, it's probably one of the best things you got going right now. WWE, Vince McMahon, they're not going to rely on Miz all the time. As soon as this whole situation with the Miz Taraj and the upcoming Shield reunion storyline is over, and Brock comes back into the picture, maybe for Survivor Series, Miz goes to the back of the line. And everybody knows that. And Mike Mizanin knows that. Mike Mizanin, the Miz, he knows that. And as over as he can be as a heel or a babyface, as much charisma that he has, probably more so than particularly anybody in the WWE at times, he knows that despite the fact that he should have the focus on him right now, and he's the only primary constant champion the Raw brand has, he knows in reality that this is only a short-term deal, and when he comes back, he goes to the back of the line. Or when Brock comes back, he goes to the back of the line. So when people anger, when people angrily say that WWE should have struck when the moment was right, they should have struck when the pan was hot, and put the belt on Braun Strowman, I can understand where they're coming from. Because Braun is constantly there. Braun is the kind of person that right now, because he is so over with the crowd, heel or babyface or tweener, he is something people want to see. And if he would have beat Brock at No Mercy, not only would news go across all media about him becoming champion and beating Brock Lesnar, particularly with ease, if you want to put it that way, then not only would you get attention on Braun, you get attention on your product, and you have people wanting to come in and attend live and in person your live events and your Raws as well, because they want to see Braun Strowman. They want to see this monster among men. But WWE didn't do this. They didn't strike when the time was right. They didn't strike when the skillet was hot. Why? Because Vince McMahon is determined to have Roman go over Brock. That's what it is. Again, it goes back to my thought as if Vince McMahon's having flashbacks and thinking he's back in the 1980s thinking, yeah, we got to build to Brock, Andre, Brock against Roman, against Hogan, Roman. Yeah, that's what we got to build to. We got to build to Andre, and Brock against Hogan, Roman. Yeah, because that's going to make money at WrestleMania. You got to think if he's doing, you got to think that everything goes on in his mind mentally. Maybe he's having those moments. Again, we don't know what his we don't know his, his health issues at times, whether they're positive or not positive. Or he has moments here and there. But if that's the case, then someone needs to step in. Someone like a Triple H or Shane McMahon or Stephanie, they need to step in and say, Dad, Vince, step down. You need to take a break for a while. Let us take over. But Vince doesn't want to do that. And like I said, if that's a contributing factor to where he's having these moments, that would probably be why the company is not doing so well, and why you're not getting what, and why the WWE is not doing what they need to do. Sorry about that. But like I said, they're not doing what they need to do. Because who knows if he's having these kind of moments. I'm just saying. Another reason why Brock went over Braun, and I'll get into this in a moment too, with Roman, is due to the fact that Vince is not going to be sweat. If these whole mental lapse and flashbacks, in my opinion, are not the reason, another reason is Vince is not going to be broken this time. He's not going to be broken. He's not going to be bent like he was back in 2014. You know why? Because the only reason he had to bend there was because the whole Yes movement went cross media. The whole Yes movement went across all platforms. The Yes movement and chants were not just, we're not just in we're not just, excuse me, we're not just seen all over WWE. It's not started here. It's not started there, but they crossed media. It would, ESPN and various other sources reported the Yes chants and the Yes movement being done at a Michigan State game. The Yes movement and everything being done in San Francisco Giant games, thanks to a player by the name of Hunter Pence. And various other mediums, entertainment places, award shows. So Vince McMahon had no choice but to bend and basically change things up and put the belt on Daniel Bryan and put the championship on Daniel Bryan at Mania. Because of that. Not just because fans took over WWE events would um it's not because they would hostily take over WWE or hijack WWE events. No, it's because of the fact that this whole Yes movement and chant crossed all kinds of media, and he had no choice but to bend to that movement, bend to that, all of a sudden, that big bend to that movement, and put Daniel in the position that he did. So when you fast forward till now, Vince is like, you know what? I'm not gonna let these people contradict what I do. I've got this is Vince's mindset. He's like, all right, I'm not gonna let these people contradict what I do anymore. I did it once at WrestleMania 30. I had to compromise at WrestleMania 31. I'm not gonna let it happen again. No. They will, Joe. I will march for it. No contradictions. My goal is Roman Reigns going over Brock Lesnar because that's best for business and that makes money. And that's what the people want. No, it's not. Not in reality. Because the truth is, it's going to come back to backfire on Vince. That's what's going to happen. You think a lot of these men that are put in the path of Brock Lesnar, put in the path of Roman Reigns, are enjoying the fact that, oh yeah, your storyline, your feud with these guys are only going to be offs, and then we'll go one-offs or one or two match off types of angles of feuds, and then we're just going to move forward to Mania for Roman and Brock. Do you think they enjoy it? No. Do you think Miz, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel like the fact that they're just another, how do I put this, another cog in the wheel, cog in the, another obstacle that Roman's going to overcome going towards WrestleMania? No. Do you think Braun was happy that he was told he was just another filler obstacle for Brock Lesnar? No. These guys are not happy about this. Heck, I'll even say this. John Cena may have been more accepting of it, but I'm pretty sure John Cena didn't like the fact that even though he's more accepting of it, he was used as nothing more than a one-time filler obstacle to build towards Roman and Brock. He didn't like it. I'm pretty sure he didn't. He's not going to come out and say it, but I'm pretty sure deep down he doesn't like that feeling. Neither does any of the other men that have been put in that position, from the Samoa Joe to, like I said, currently right now, Miz and the Miz Taraj with Roman Reigns. They don't like that feeling because it's like, wait a minute, you're just using. Because think about it from their position. They're thinking right now they're not going to say anything because honestly, they're not going to say anything to Vince McMahon. You know, they're not going to say anything to him. But don't you think maybe they're sitting at home or driving in their cars right now or sitting in the hotels right now thinking, man, this whole thing, like with Miz, you don't think he's not thinking, man, I'm in a great spot right now. Oh, me, Bo, Curtis, we're in a great spot right now, getting ready to feud with Roman and help reunite the Shield because that's what people want to see finally. But yet, in the end, I'm nothing more than a filler act to build to Roman and Brock. And it's just not fair. It's just not right. Do you not think he doesn't think that in the back of his head? Do you not think Wyndham Rotundo, well, not Wyndham Rotundo, but Bo Rotundo doesn't think that either? You don't think Curtis Axel doesn't think that? Of course they do. But you know what? If they're being pushed into a main event spot just temporarily, or semi-main event spot temporarily, then that's fine with them. But if they're being put only here to be used as an obstacle for at least a month or two to build towards Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, again, you got to think they're not too thrilled about what the end result's going to be like. They're not going to be too thrilled about the fact that, oh yeah, Dallas and Axel may become tag team champions, but in the end, they're just part of a filler situation right now to build to Brock and Roman. They're not happy about that. But that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And there's a lot of men, a lot of superstars that right now thinking that. I'm sure Samoa Joe is rehabbing and sitting at home thinking, hey, WWE should have struck when the handle was hot with me, made me champion. Sorry for the lag there. Made me champion, but they didn't. Why? Because he's probably realizing they used him as nothing more than filler to build to Brock and Roman. That's all they did. Sorry for my finger hit the mic there. But that's all they did. That's all they did with him is use him to build to Brock and Roman. Why do you think a lot of people, from Bill Apter, Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez, OTR Essentials, Steg Daddy, Solomonster, Deluxe Man, Pro Wrestling Report, Pro Wrestling Insider. Why do you think all these places are critical about this negatively critical from what happened at No Mercy? I mean, Brian Zane even was critical about it. Because of the fact that you had the moment to strike with and you didn't do it. And it's like, why? You're trying to build to the unstoppable force meets the immovable object? And you don't think, and here's what frustrates people about this whole thing about Brock going over Braun. And here's the thing. Here's the frustrating thing about Brock going over Braun the way he did. It's the, it's the same thing with Samoa Joe. It's the same thing that happened at SummerSlam. The opponent or opponents beat the living crap out of Brock, drive him through tables, choke slam him, beat the crap out of him, power slam him multiple times, Conquista clutch him multiple times. Into a normal, if not above average, superstar, or a main event superstar like a Cena or a Reigns, this would normally be the end of it. This would normally be the end of it. And even if they hit the finishers, Braun would all, and even, I mean, this would be the end of it, right? Braun hits someone like a Reigns or a Cena with a power slam or a choke slam. That's the end of it. It's over, right? And they could hit multiple spears, Superman punches, AAs, Conquista clutches, whatever, on Braun, and he shakes it off. Yet, what I'm saying is, I'm getting just getting frustrated thinking about this. They could hit multiple AAs, multiple Superman punches, spears, apply a Conquista clutch after Conquista clutch. And yet, in the end, it takes, and Braun Strowman, like I said, can apply multiple power slams to someone like Brock Lesnar, and it only takes one F5 for him to win a match. Yeah. Cena can hit multiple AAs on the guy, takes one F5, that's it. Samoa Joe can apply the Conquista clutch several times to nearly win the championship. Brock piles him up in the F5, that's it. Braun, 3 power slams, and everything. Gets put in the F5, that's it. Seriously. Does WWE not realize what they're doing? You're not making Brock look special. You're basically exposing the business for what it is. And that business is the fact, and that business is basically the one you pay the most is the one you want to protect. Seriously? So you're telling me that Brock, who has a part-time schedule and you're paying the most money to, can take multiple shots, multiple finishers, and on occasion eat the pin or eat the submission, but because you are so determined to put him against Roman Reigns, that despite being nailed with multiple power slams by someone like Braun Strowman, it takes one F5 and Braun's done. Okay. And this takes me to Cena and Roman. People may have been 50-50 about the match, 50-50 about how rushed it was, scheduling conflict or not for Cena. But yet Cena hits 4 AAs. Normally, that would finish somebody off. But what happens? Roman hits one Superman punch and one spear, and that's it. All because WWE and beats John Cena. All because WWE is determined. Vince McMahon is determined to build to the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Not thinking for once fans are not going to shit on this match. Excuse my language, guys. Shit on this match going to WrestleMania. It's going to main event WrestleMania because guess what? They are. And again, you wonder why your attendance is so low. It's not because of the fact that you're not putting on a good product. You probably are doing the best you can, but it's the lack of interest and the inevitable predictability that you have. Because on the SmackDown side, the lack of interest is you got a champion that doesn't have much charisma. Nobody wants to see him. And you'd rather have somebody else like a Shinsuke become champion and maybe build something between him and AJ going to WrestleMania. That, in many people's eyes, inside the business, legends, you name it, Hall of Famers, fans, whatever, is probably the best scenario you got going right now. But on the Raw side of things, it's not the fact that Brock probably doesn't attract fans to the arena. He probably does. Sorry for the lag there. But it's mostly because of the fact that they know on the Raw side of things what the inevitable outcome is going to be. They pretty much know that you're showing your hand already for WrestleMania and what the WrestleMania main event's going to be. And it's like to them, you might as well put the freaking belt on Roman right now and be done with it. Truth is, you could still do Brock and Roman for the championship at Mania. But if you want to create intrigue, you want to create unpredictability, get the belt off Brock. Keep it off him for at least a couple of months. Let him regain it maybe at Royal Rumble or at the February Raw pay-per-view, whatever that may be. And then you can build to your WrestleMania match with Roman. Throw some quirks and twists in there. Because if you're just going to keep going down the same freaking pathway, it's gonna bite you in the end. Because if you think fans crapped on Roman and Brock at WrestleMania 31 to the point you had to send Seth Rollins out there to save the damn match. You think fans crapped on Randy Orton, Batista the last time you had WrestleMania in New Orleans, and you were trying to present that as your main event, and you had no choice because of the cross-media acceptance of the Yes movement and the Yes chant to put Daniel Bryan in there. How do you think fans are going to feel at the fact knowing that you're trying to build and force Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns down their throats for WrestleMania 34 as of right now? You think fans are negative right now about it? Think fans are crapping on it right now about it? Just wait till you get to WrestleMania season if you're still determined to do this. I'm just saying. All right, let's talk about Asuka. We know Asuka. We got the reveal that Asuka is going to debut at TLC next month. But the question is, how? Well, I look at it this way. You don't have any other option. You got to put the belt on Asuka at TLC. End of story. Either that or you feed her someone like an Emma at TLC, and then you build to a match between her and Alexa at Survivor Series, and you have her mow down Alexa like she's nothing. Seriously, you do that. You do it in a sense that I think I've mentioned one time on Twitter in reply to OTR Central and Deluxe Man or somebody else. If you're going to put the belt on Alexa, either you got to do it at TLC in her debut, you got to either do it in her debut, or you got to do it at Survivor Series. And you got to do it in a fashion similar to what the Warrior did at WrestleMania. And WWE is known to do this and do it correctly. And that's as soon as that bell rings, you have an Asuka just annihilate her. And then you go from there. And you build to whatever match you want with Asuka at WrestleMania. with her championship on the line. You go from there. Because if Asuka, according to reports, is going to be the foundation of you revamping your Raw Women's division, then I can't think of a better time than either TLC or Survivor Series for you to put the belt on her and go from there. And I'll tell you this. If you want to improve your attendance, you want to improve your interest in your product, let her keep her undefeated streak going. Let her mow over Alexa at either TLC or Survivor Series, and let her have a run with that Raw Women's Championship similar to what she had in the NXT until you build to something to where you know you'll have a legitimate, credible challenger, whether they're already on SmackDown or Raw or upcoming from NXT, to where you know people will find it believable that they could actually beat Asuka without, they could actually not only give Asuka a fight, but beat her as well. So as far as Asuka goes, I think that's the best. I think that's the best option. You either put the belt on her at TLC or Survivor Series, have her mow through Alexa if you're going to keep Alexa as champion, go from there. Because the one thing is, even though you would be taking the belt off Alexa and she wouldn't see it again for quite some time, you at least have history on her side. You know what I'm saying? So as far as Asuka coming to TLC, I'd say best option is either put the belt on her that night or wait till Survivor Series and go from there. I think that one of those are the best options you got. Okay, the current state WWE Championship. Basically, I've already talked about this with gender and with the whole low attendance thing. It's like, what more can you say? I think. I mean, obviously they had good intentions, but it's backfired on them. And now the championship is like playing second fiddle to the United States Championship, believe it or not. And again, it's like I said earlier, I think right now the best choice is they got to put the belt, the obvious option, I should say, is to put the belt on Shinsuke. Just do it. Just get it over with. Okay? Don't keep trying to push this whole, well, it's best for business in the India market with with a champion of India descent. No. It may have been good at first, but it's just not working, guys. It's not. And I think right now the best option is to get the belt off him as soon as possible. And I think as soon as possible is Hell in the Cell. It's got to happen there. Because if not, then you got no one else but yourselves to blame for the continuous lack of attendance and interest in your product. So that's all I'm going to say on the championship. As far as the whole John Cena thing, losing to Roman Reigns, yeah, it may have been sort of a passing of the torch, but not necessarily. Let's be honest. John's going to go away to film the Bumblebee spin-off movie of the Transformers franchise. Fine, that's not a problem. He's going to be gone for a while to promote his Blue Skies animated film Ferdinand. No problem. But he's going to be back. You know he's going to be back in time for Mania. You know they're going to find a way to work that out. And WWE is not about to let John Cena go or let him ride off into the sunset or hang up his boots and his cap until he surpasses Ric Flair. You know that as well as I do. So I think John's going to be back. He'll be back in time for Mania. He'll probably return at the Rumble. He's going to be probably around for quite some time after that. And maybe during 2018, he's probably going to end up with his 17th championship. You guys already know that as well as I do. So don't think he's retiring. Don't think he's going away for a long, long time. He'll be back, and they're going to work it to where he comes back in time for Mania. Guarantee it. And I guarantee that it's going to be around that time. They're going to probably have it already set in their minds to get him his 17th championship. And it won't be a WWE championship, no. His 17th championship is going to be the Universal title. That's a guaranteed fact. So yeah, John Cena may have temporarily passed the torch over to Roman Reigns. Reigns at No Mercy, but guess what? It's not going to matter. Because you think John being put in these positions, he's doing to help the business, help improve it, help move it forward, might be true. But in the end, they're going to reward him with the 17th championship. And that 17th championship is going to be a Universal Championship. Guarantee it. Because he's got to get his win back over Roman somehow. Think about that. Finally, Enzo Amore. Enzo became Cruiserweight Champion. And a lot of people are upset about this. You know, one thing I will agree with Don Tonio about is everybody felt the same way about Hornswoggle. But they were more accepting of it. Why? Because pretty much Hornswoggle was the last Cruiserweight champion, and the Cruiserweight title was retired after that. So, why is people upset about this? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because Enzo, from what's been reported, has not endeared himself to the people in the back, mostly the superstars. He's not really been endearing himself lately to the audience, because pretty much his stick's getting old and annoying, except maybe in the smart mark towns or the pay-per-view crowds. And making him champion after you've pretty much visually and in front of the world have had superstars from Strowman and several others basically wipe the floor with him, to Miz verbally castrating him, and so on. That all of a sudden, despite all this humiliation you're putting him through, you decide to put the Cruiserweight Championship on him. And then you decide to do a double turn 24 hours later. And that double turn is having him go heel and Neville go face. So you're basically saying, Enzo, embrace the hate. Right? That's what you're doing. So by doing so, you're making him turn. You had him turn heel. You treated him like crap. You sabotaged him, as Schleg Daddy pointed out in the video. Not only just to put the Cruiserweight Championship on him, but to have him embrace it and turn heel, do a double turn, put Neville in the babyface position now, put Enzo as the heel. And for what reason? Well, because Cass is injured? So you're telling me you broke up Cass and Enzo only to turn the latter part heel only a few months after the other had turned heel? It doesn't make any sense. If you're planning on turning both heel, might as well have kept them as a tag team and do it. It would have been less frustrating. It would have been less frustrating for people in the back and the audience. It would have made more sense. But they didn't do that. They decided, hey, Cass is a big guy, let's push him. Just just doesn't make sense. I mean, a few months ago you turned Cass heel. Yeah, he gets injured. Okay, fine. You put him over Big Show at SummerSlam. And like I said, he gets injured within a week or so. Oh, in a street fight against Enzo. Now, not even a month later, Enzo's Cruiserweight champion, and you turn him heel. It's like, seriously? So you're telling me that you turned one half of Cass and Enzo heel, and by doing so, you tried to build sympathy for Enzo, but yet you decided to turn Enzo heel because that sympathy didn't work. It's See, this is where people get frustrated with WWE because it doesn't make sense. Why turn one part of your most over tag team heel just to later on turn the other part heel? You could have easily done them both together and kept them as a team. You could have had them go individually after championships. You could have had them support each other individually as a heel unit to going after individual championships, and it would have worked. It would have gotten them over as heels. You could have had them as a heel tag team going after the tag team titles, but did they do that? No. It did, and you know what would have been more sensible if they would have done that, or more avoidable, I should say? You would have avoided Big Cass being injured. Yeah. Okay, maybe you wouldn't have, but you probably had a less. You would have had a less likely scenario of that happening. But you didn't do that. Instead, what did you do? You decided to make him go heel, turn on Enzo, try to build sympathy for Enzo, and instead, what happens? A month later, you find out that doesn't work. Let's turn Enzo heel. just, just doesn't make sense. I mean, what? Is the championship a reward for him eating humble pie? And then they're telling him, like I say, backstage, embrace the hate? It, it doesn't make sense, folks. It doesn't make sense in the long run. Because again, if you were going to turn both heel individually, you should have just done it as a tag team. Should have kept them a tag team, both turned them heel, had them both kind of do the Shawn Michaels Diesel thing where they would support each other, or they would support each other individually, while they would go after individual gold or championships, and maybe even try to go after the tag team titles as well. This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. Just really doesn't make any sense because this is why WWE is in the state it's in right now. I mean, yeah, there's rumors going around that they're thinking about revamping the booking structure, possibly going back to TV 14. But you know what? There's an old saying. I'll believe it. We, as the wrestling fan base community, insiders and legends, fans, will believe it when we'll see it, or when we see it. Because if reports are you're going to try to revamp your booking structure, possibly consider going back to TV 14, again, I as a fan, longtime fan, and those watching this, and those that have talked about this, from insiders, legends, Hall of Famers, to fans all around, will believe it. We'll believe those reports. We'll believe those reports when we see it happen and they become a reality. Because right now, if those reports are somewhat true, WWE probably is realizing they have no other choice remaining. Probably realize they're left with no other choice. But again, we'll believe it when we see it. If they decide to revamp the booking structure and the structure of the company, as well as probably go back to TV 14. Because right now, I don't think they have any other option. But that's all I can really say right now for WWE. In this WWE Morning Talk for today, Wednesday, September 27th, 2017. Thank you all for watching live. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you all for watching post live after this has already been uploaded and recorded. Let me know what you guys think. And again, like I said, thank you all to those watching live this morning. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think. And let me know from those that will watch this post live, already recorded and uploaded, what you guys think. What do you believe WWE needs to do out of all the things I've mentioned? What do you think of some of the decisions and directions they've gone in that I've mentioned? Let me know what you think down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear from you guys. And I'd love to hear some video responses from you guys as well. OTRS, Deluxe Man, let me know what you all think. Comment down below, folks. But again, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it right now. WWE, you need to get your act together, and you need to do it quickly. Because you might as well be going back to what you did back in the mid-90s when you were in a similar situation. Instead of booking these arenas, you might as well start booking high school gymnasiums and armories and community centers. That's probably the best option you got to get a good attendance for your live events or your SmackDown or Raws. Just saying. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. And I'm out. Have a good morning, folks.